They have searched for her all across West Michigan, but despite all those efforts, it has almost been 4 years now since Mary Lands disappeared. The Marshall woman was last seen in March 2004, leaving the home that she shared with her fiancé, Christopher Pratt, after an argument. Police say Pratt is a person of interest in this case. Last month, he was sentenced to up to 15 years in prison for abusing a more recent girlfriend. That case has garnered a great deal of attention, and this morning we are looking into it as part of our Missing in Michigan series. Now, later we're going to hear from Mary's mother, but right now we're joined by Private Detective Jim Carlin, who has been working this case since almost the very beginning. And some big developments here as far as the arrest and conviction of Mr. Pratt. But also, the police chief in Marshall is MIA at this point in time. No explanation as to why he's no longer in that job. Now, where does that leave the investigation?
Well, any police department, whether you have 20 members or 200, without a chief and a deputy chief would be a little bit of chaos and crisis. We're concerned about the progress of the Mary Lands case. I did speak with the state police yesterday, Detective Mike Scott from the White Pigeon Post and Detective Salomon. They are aggressively looking at the case, continuing every week as they have been. You know, we hope that the marshal resolves their problems as soon as possible, but the Michigan State Police have assured the family that this case is going forward. They're very, very positive. Since Mr. Pratt has gone to prison, there's been some tips.
What are some of those tips? Can you reveal any of those?
No. They just, people coming out that didn't want to talk 2 years ago for fear of repercussions.
Okay, so you think this is a good thing, that he has been basically incarcerated now?
Absolutely. It was documented in court that he abused his wife. It was documented what he did to Miss Parker. You have a 4-year window in there where Mary Lands was. It doesn't take a rocket science to figure out what happened. And we will bring her home, and the person or persons responsible will be held accountable.
Where do you think Mary is? Are you still operating under the idea that she is alive, or do you believe that she is deceased and that you're looking for a body now?
No. On the weekend of March 12, 2004, we believe she met the demise at the hands of the person, her domestic partner at the time. And we believe in the digging that we did on F Drive. There was something there, although the police couldn't confirm that. A lot of stories still bring us back to F Drive. Other things, I believe when she's located, it'll be within 10 miles of that fountain in Marshall, Michigan.
And you guys continue to look for her consistently. You put in, what, 8,000 donated hours on this case right now?
Myself and other people have donated their time. It's really been a community effort. The other thing, too, if I can add, Courtney Cook, who disappeared on January 19th, is another missing woman. We know it's not related to Mary Lands, but that's something that needs to be looked at, and it obviously is taking the resources of the Marshall Police Department, and we wish that family well and her recovery.
Well, hopefully we'll shake something loose here. There'll be some tips that come into this, and they can, of course, get in touch with you. They can get in touch with the Michigan State Police or the Marshall Police Department as well, and we'll put your numbers up on our website for viewers later in the day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Jim, and we're going to be speaking to Mary's mother, Anita Marshall, coming up in our next half hour.
Well, they have searched for her all across West Michigan, but despite all those efforts, it has almost been 4 years since Mary Lands disappeared. The Marshall woman was last seen in March of 2004, leaving the home she shared with her fiancé, Christopher Pratt, after an argument. Now, police say Pratt is a person of interest in the case, and last month he was sentenced to up to 15 years in prison for abusing a more recent girlfriend. Now, that case has garnered a great deal of attention, and this morning we're looking into it as part of our Missing in Michigan series, and this morning we are joined by Mary's mother, Anita Marshall. Anita, I want to thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you know, we just talked about Christopher Pratt being still a person of interest in Mary's case. Of course, you know he is now sentenced and in jail for abusing a more recent girlfriend. What's your reaction to the fact that he is now serving up to at least 15 years in prison?
We're very happy for her and her family, and we're glad that he can't hurt anybody else, at least for a couple of years.
Are you still of the belief, then, that he is, in fact, connected to your daughter's case?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How is your family doing? This has been almost 4 years now. This happened in 2004 when she went missing.
Yeah.
How's your family holding up? These missing cases missing person cases are often so difficult for people to deal with. How is your family holding up through it all?
We're doing okay. We stay close to her kids. They miss her terribly. Try to keep focused on them and try to keep focused on what we need to do next to keep her name out there so no one forgets about her.
What is the next step for you? I know originally we talked about the fact that your relationship with the police kind of went back and forth because you didn't feel like they were necessarily doing all that they could do. Where does that stand now, especially in lieu of the police chief there not being present? Where do you stand with the next step, the next phase in trying to find Mary?
Well, we were a little concerned when we heard about Mike Olson. So we talked to Sergeant McDonald, and he assured us that they're still working hard on the case. And next step right now is the 4-year anniversary, which is March 12th. And then we'll go from there, maybe hopefully go back to some of the places that we feel that she might be there and search.
Are you convinced that Christopher Pratt did have something, in fact, to do with Mary's disappearance?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and your family is still holding out hope that you will find?
Yes, so we can put her to rest.
Okay. I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know it's a difficult time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
We'll try to keep that story out there so maybe people can come forward. If there's any information at all, I know some tips have been coming in. So, again, we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right. Back to you, Brett.
Blue balloons released to remember a missing Calhoun County woman. It was 4 years ago that Mary Lands of Marshall was last seen. Today, friends, family members, some lawmakers and prosecutors gathered to pay tribute to Lands. Each balloon carries a laminated card with Mary's picture, a website, and police number. 43 balloons were released to mark Lands' age, and blue balloons were chosen in honor of her favorite color.
It signifies hope and just another vehicle for us to get the message out about Mary Denise Lands, and it's just a signal of hope just to get the message out.
No trace of Mary's ever been found. No arrests have been made, though her ex-fiancé, Chris Pratt, is considered a person of interest in the case. Pratt's currently serving prison time for several crimes connected to the abuse of his current girlfriend.
It will be a solemn anniversary today in the Calhoun County community of Marshall. Friends, family, even strangers gathered to remember Mary Lands. Now, it was March of 12th of 2004, the last time anyone saw Lands. She was last seen by her boyfriend at the time as she was leaving her apartment after an argument with him. In the days, weeks, months, and years that have followed, her loved ones have continued to search for any sign of her, never giving up hope that this case will someday be solved. And today, as they do every year, friends and family gathered in Marshall to pay tribute to Mary Lands, releasing balloons into the air. In fact, those balloons carrying her picture, just in case someone out there somewhere knows where she is.
Law enforcement does not forget. And there are officers here who have been working on cases for their career, and they don't ever forget. There are retired officers who never forget. We are not going to forget.
And today, those who gathered also paid tribute to another woman missing from Marshall, Courtney Cook. She walked away from her home during a freezing cold weekend this past January and hasn't been seen since. Here's a look now at